come to South Carolina as a result of a resurgent National Party and a whole new concept of being a Democrat that Barack Obama somewhat represents. If you look at the data, it's a little disconcerting. First of all, turnout in South Carolina, there's two elections when you look statewide. There's gubernatorial elections and there's presidential elections. In gubernatorial elections, we dropped down to some of the worst participation numbers in the country. 54% in 2002, 45% in 2006. And a reminder is that was maybe the worst defeat of a Democratic gubernatorial candidate at that low margin of turnout. But in terms of presidential elections, we do pretty good, 75, 74%. That even though 2008 held the promise of an excited electorate, particularly an excited Democratic electorate, it's only 1% different from previous elections. So although there was a lot of energy in South Carolina, who actually came out and voted, and there were some impressive numbers there, was not all that different than what had occurred in other trend lines with it. So did change come to South Carolina in 2008? You have to kind of wonder. If you look at the party splits from 2000 to 2008, we're not doing too well. 41, 47, 41, 45, 45. And the thing that's absolutely interesting here is here, one of the lowest turnouts in a gubernatorial election and then one of the highest turnouts in a presidential election, we crested the same split. So is change coming to South Carolina? Are things different here as a result? If you look at the counties split by party of presidential elections, you see 2008 is a little bit different than any of the previous other two elections. But it's only different in one specific area. And it's something that we can actually build on and actually help almost elect a Democratic congressperson, and that's the inclusion of Charleston. To win statewide in South Carolina, you've got to put together a coalition of at least two urban areas. The Republicans have done a great job of holding on to Charleston in the upstate in most presidential elections and limiting us to only a portion of the electorate scattered in between. This is one of the first elections when we actually see the second urban area, along with Richland County, move in our direction. So yeah, here's somewhat change beginning, or change being harnessed and lassoed, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to change a congressional district, although we got a new House member as a result of hard work and being in the area, defeating an incumbent as well. Pardon me?
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry, they are. Yes, indeed they are reversed. Just some split numbers, 57-41, 2000, Bush to Gore, 58-41, Bush to Carey, 54-45, McCain to Obama. So even though these elections are dramatically different, the splits that occur are somewhat marginally the same with it. The other thing is this, and I believe there was a 172,000 vote differential between Obama and McCain with it. In the previous gubernatorial election, Sanford led his ticket by 225,000. So although there is some made up here, that with the even with the increased voting of the base in the Democratic, in an exciting Democratic race in November, we still don't get close enough to really make a dent and are still almost 9 percentage points out at that point. This is from some exit polling from the presidential election. Who were the GOP voters? 58% of men voted McCain, 73% whites, only 26% voted Democratic. White men, 76%. White women, 70%. Among white voters, any age group voted 70% Republican. White independents, 63% for the Republicans, 34% for the Democrats. This one sheet alone suggests the degree of polarization that exists within the electorate, or certainly was there in 2008. And although we had significant turnout among the base, it certainly wasn't enough to overcome what happened in terms of white voters across the state, and therefore the margins. Yes?
What's the age of this GOP group?
The only age group, well, we'll look at this. It comes back to this. In terms of income, under 50,000, 58% Obama. So you're starting to see socioeconomic, and you see age here in a minute. 50K to 99, 63% McCain. 100 plus, 64% McCain. The only two places where Obama actually held the strongest percentage of participation was one, advanced college degrees, new registered voters, and those voters that were under 25. So there was a small coalition of new voters, but among traditional Democrats, it was still pretty much the base, and then everybody else over here. The GOP won every level of education except postgraduate degrees. Obama did best with first-time voters. Suburban voters, 67 to 33 McCain. Urban voters, 55-44 Obama. Rural voters, 51-48 McCain. So although, and that's the point of all this, although we feel that nationally we're in the kind of attitude of change, or the change of Democrats, here we confront a variety of structural opinion issues that certainly have not allowed the party to grow as dynamically as you have seen in certain other places. So we start anew, and we start with some challenges in terms of the electorate. I'll explain this one, and then we'll turn it over to someone else. There are basically 9 counties in the state that can forecast what's going to happen in an election. And the splits between the R and D vote in those 9 counties pretty much are very good indicators of what's going to happen. This is the stronghold of the Republican Party. These 5 counties, Greenville, Spartanburg, Pickens, Lexington, and York, essentially the upstate except for Lexington and York. If you look at the Democratic ticket in 2006, you see the huge deficits. More, negative 34,000 votes coming out of Greenville County, negative 13 out of Spartanburg 10. That in these handful of counties, because of the dynamics of the coalition, our ticket is really coming out a defeated ticket before it even goes somewhere else in the state. And the only person that really had a chance was Theodore, who was from Greenville, but even that was difficult to put together with it. So we have a real significant problem in terms of geography in the ticket. If you look at the best Democratic counties over time, we've tended to lose Charleston, Sanford, his home. Moore loses it by 13,000 votes. Barber wins it by 20,000. Patterson wins it by 5. Theodore loses it by 3. And Rex holds even. So in order to be competitive, which these 4 candidates essentially were, you've got to look to that second urban area and try to put together a coalition of voters along the coastal zone that can help shrink that extraordinary advantage that the Republicans have coming out of the upstate media market. So, but the other thing is, are Democrats all the same? Richland County, one of the most Democratic, and Orangeburg County in the state. Look at the vast difference between Moore and Rex. Yeah. Almost 13,000 votes with it. Why did Rex get 30,000 and Moore only 17 with it? So does it matter where you're from? Does it matter who you are? Does it matter the type of Democratic? Even among the Democratic Party, apparently, that seems to be true with the fluctuation of support numbers in one of the most steadfast Democratic counties here. So interesting. Barber did